kind of interesting to look into these more than 300-year-old Lake Michigan mystery remaining unsolved.
Yeah, they tried to find it. Couldn't quite get that done. But tomorrow night at 9:30 on Fox 11, you can relive the week-long expedition that had the goal of identifying the long-lost ship known as the Griffon. Earlier this summer, explorers stationed in Fairport in the UP tried to find the ship, which disappeared in 1679 after leaving Washington Island, the northern tip of Door County. As we said, they didn't find it. It belonged to French explorer Robert LaSalle. Fox 11's Ben Krumholtz was with the crew searching for the vessel, and he has more this evening on the history of the ship and the man who has searched for the Griffon for decades.
I know the Great Lakes like the back of my hand.
Steve Liebert has been making annual trips to Upper Michigan since 1981. Each time he brings a group of friends with him to search the bottom of Lake Michigan. The divers now go by the name the Great Lakes Exploration Group.
We just learned how to dive. We didn't know anything about boats. And certainly we didn't know anything about the weather patterns out here and how you can get yourself in trouble real fast with the storms that roll in and out of here.
The 59-year-old Liebert lives in Purcellville, Virginia. He retired from his intelligence analyst position with the U.S. Department of Defense to focus solely on finding the Griffon. Growing up near Dayton, Ohio, Liebert's interest in the vessel developed when he was 14 years old. His 8th grade history teacher told him about it.
He made it sound so interesting that I just couldn't fathom finding a ship like that. And then all of a sudden he puts his hand right on my left shoulder and says, and who knows, maybe someone in this room will find it one of these days.
Finding the Griffon has eluded maritime lovers for more than 3 centuries. It was the first European-owned vessel to sail the Upper Great Lakes.
Lake Griffon is probably the most sought-after shipwreck in the Great Lakes. To Great Lakes ship exploration, it'd be like finding Noah's Ark.
The French ship was built near Niagara Falls. LaSalle constructed it to explore the Mississippi River for King Louis XIV of France.
And sails all the way across Lake Erie and up the Detroit-St. Clair River system and successfully across Lake Huron and makes it into Lake Michigan. And this is being done at a time when there were no charts, right? So these are some pretty accomplished sailors.
LaSalle never really got right down here to Green Bay proper, but he was in the Door County Peninsula. He did make his way down the lake shore.
Historians say LaSalle was in the area picking up fur pelts to finance his exploration.
There was such a demand for fur pelts in Europe and they had never seen the type of trading that was coming out of this area that was going to Montreal and then eventually ending up in Europe, a lot of it.
In September 1679, LaSalle sent 6 of his men in the Griffon with the fur to retrieve men and supplies to build a second vessel. However, the ship and its crew disappeared after leaving Washington Island, heading toward Michigan.
There's sort of 3 kind of basic theories. One, that it was ambushed by Native Americans and pillaged and sunk, or the crew itself got a little greedy with this wonderful load of furs and mutinied and took the furs and scuttled the vessel itself. And the one that's maybe the most credible is that it was lost in a storm.
The lost in a storm theory is the one Liebert has long believed. He started gathering primary source documents after taking a trip to his wife Kathy's family cottage in Boulder Junction. At the time, she was his girlfriend, having met in high school.
We brought him up there one summer, and he just saw the Great Lakes and fell in love with it.
And I started researching, and over the years I managed to discover that instead of being in Lake Huron like a lot of people thought, this is in northern Michigan.
In 2001, after 20 years of searching, Liebert finally found part of what he believed he was looking for.
Finally, on my 5th dive and last dive, because we were just simply out of air, I bumped into something, knowing that I think the Griffon has to be in here, and I ran right into it.
What Liebert ran into was this piece of wood sticking 10 feet out of the lake bed.
The visibility was so bad I couldn't even read my gauges, but when I bumped into this thing, I knew it wasn't the anchor line. I was pretty excited.
After talking with museum curators and historians, Liebert's belief intensified that this piece of wood was once part of the Griffon.
I feel 99.9% sure that it is. And the reason why is because, the research that we've done.
Liebert tried to confirm his belief in June. It took him 10 years of legal and political battles to land the federal and state permits for test excavation at the possible shipwreck site. For the full story on the expedition to identify the Griffon, watch our half-hour special, Shipwrecked. Search for Le Griffon. It airs Friday night at 9:30, right after Fox 11 News at 9.